On this episode of In an Instant, Baby has got back in the form of the Nons Instant Back, a unique contraption that lets you shoot Instax Square on a classic Hasselblad 500 series camera. Much like the way it clips onto the Hassie, I've become very attached to this thing. So let's dive in.
The kind of photography that would become part of the human being. Press a button and have the picture.
Welcome to In an Instant. My name is Ben, and today is a rare opportunity to discuss not a camera, but a camera back. First, let's discuss why this exists. The only thing I think that Fujifilm has on Polaroid is the variety of third-party accessories that have been produced for the three Instax formats. Nons in particular is a company that has crafted some very unique cameras for Instax Mini and Square, which fly in the face of the camera industry as a whole. Small batch manufacturers aren't supposed to make cameras this tank-like and high quality, let alone SLRs. But alas, Nons has gone from unknown entity to formative instant film player. Faster than you can say, faster than you can say. The Nons Instant Back is the first dedicated wagon that they have made, and I hope it's just the beginning because they have cracked something pretty interesting here. Hasselblad cameras, in particular the 500 series, have a notable history when it comes to instant film compatibility. It was very common to use Polaroid packed film backs on Hassies for lighting tests. It's hilarious and annoying how small the coverage was on pack film, but that wasn't the point. This was simply a way to reference what your final image would look like when captured with roll film. I have indeed found the Nons Back to be useful for testing strobe setups. This is substantially more charming and less anachronistic than using something like a digital camera to test lighting when you're supposed to be shooting analog. Like, that's what we're doing. Aren't we trying to do that? But with pack film no longer existing for this purpose anymore, now there's a solid way to do it with integral film. When it comes to integral film like Instax Square, there is much less precedent for solid Hassie backs. This is because of the tremendously narrow distance between the film plane and the back of the camera, meaning that the back needs to be machined with extraordinary precision down to the millimeter to make focusing accurate. In fact, there are several other backs out there that already exist which advise you stop down when shooting because the film plane is just off enough to cause problems. Given Nons has shown remarkable aplomb in their ability to craft precision instant instruments, it should be no surprise that they are one of the few who have solved this issue and made something exacting enough to not really have any issues when shooting wide open, which is big for business. Now, you'll notice there is a pretty distinct caveat to this back. There is a black border around every photo, and it shoots with the pod to the side. If you're using the waist level finder, this is difficult to circumvent, as holding the camera in any other orientation is mostly impractical. I haven't tried too many prism finders with this, but I did briefly attempt to use the NC2, which did not clear over the back, so it didn't fit. And so for the most part, you need to accept that this is your orientation. This black border is a result of Instax Square being noticeably larger than a 6x6 negative, so Hasselblads were not engineered to project an image large enough for this format. There is a back from a company called Pola Studio, which somehow circumvents this border issue, though it costs almost 3 times as much and is produced by cannibalizing Instax cameras instead of a wholly new build like this Nons back. The border is really a matter of preference. I have to say I don't really care about it, despite being uneven most of the time. I just really love shooting with my Hassie. It's the best camera I'll ever own, and being able to use it in more ways is always gonna be fun for me. So yes, this does look unusual in the grand scheme of Instax images, but who cares? Who are you trying to fool? You're not fooling me. I don't know what I'm talking about. The image is there, and that's all that matters. And if you shoot black frames, heck, you can barely even see it. The back very simply functions by rear film loading, a switch to turn it on and off, a frame counter, and a dark slide to help seal things up between shots. Because of how razor thin the gap is between the camera and the back, they don't recommend trusting the dark slide on its own. It's fine for temporary gaps of time between shooting, but doesn't provide long-term light sealing, and it's recommended that you put the back in a dark pouch between uses if you still got film in there. Indeed, I've experienced a few light leaks when the back was just left on for a few days, but it's hardly catastrophic and definitely avoidable. The clearance for the dark slide is really tight, and it's pretty hard to reinsert it. Mine has seen better days, but luckily they sell backup ones. As many of you know if you watch the In an Instant program, I prefer Polaroid film in virtually all cases to Instax film. On a professional level, Instax is useful though in that I can shoot it in bulk and hand it out to clients with the benefit of lower cost and immediate development. While the Mint and Nons cameras have always kept Instax very much active in my arsenal, it was rarely for pure enjoyment until this Nons back arrived. I am finding myself wanting to pick up the back and shoot through packs because it's the Hasselblad 500cm, it's the best camera, and shooting anything with it rocks. The image quality and impact of using Hasselblad optics on the Instax makes a big difference as well. And I've been especially fond of shooting the 50mm f4 with this back, as it gives me an opportunity to do something a little wider and funkier than if I just toss the 80-2.8 on there, which is a standard lens and feels a bit ordinary in combination with instant. That said, 2.8 on the 80 on Instax slaps. Alrighty then, I guess we'll do pros and cons for a film back. Pros, Hassie X Instant. The combination of the Hasselblad with Instax is dynamo. The Mamiya RB67 is a camera that I would take out over the Hassie for situations where I'd like to shoot multi-formats, but this reduces that rationale by at least one format. And quality. I have really hammered this home in other Nons product reviews, but just to clarify, Nons makes very nice things that work well. I can charge this thing up with USB-C, my favorite charging port, and then just fully expect this back to work well throughout the week. It's solid where it matters most, fits well on the camera, and also decently ties into the silhouette of the Hassie, providing a pseudo handle on the back and a touch of chrome for symbiosis. Also, battery life. This back can be used when it is turned off and only needs to be turned on when you want to eject the photo. So I always leave it off and just flip it on briefly when needed. That makes the battery last a super long time and I basically never have to think about it. And cons. The black border and side pod ejection are cons. I mean, don't get me wrong, I just personally don't care for my own work, but you might. And light tightness. The dark slide is really tough to get in there, and then it's not guaranteed to stave off light leaks for long, but as I outlined, that won't impact you too often, especially if you're in the habit of shooting through packs. And look at that, my watch is telling me it's time to make like a Hasselblad shutter and leave. Thank you for watching in an instant. Back that thing up onto that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more reviews, breakdowns, shoots, and all things instant. Bye.
Why not wear this shirt when you could be wearing it? Introducing the Pete Madden Jr. and In an Instant crossover tee, featuring two wonderful logos on the chest and a couple of characters on the back. That's right, Snappy and Ben from In an Instant, illustrated by his grandfather, Lad Fraternelli. Wow, that's synergy. Available in a variety of colors to match your mood. I'm feeling green today. Order now at PeteMaddenJr.com/store. That's PeteMaddenJr.com/store. Order today.